Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. And coming up, San Diego's sheriff is stepping down. The decision by Bill Gore and how it might influence who replaces him. Is going solar still worth it? Financial incentives that lured homeowners might be on their way out. And we'll show you how local artists are expressing love for Valencia Park by beautifying its secret stairs. Never has the sound of a garbage truck sounded so good, at least in local neighborhoods that went without service for a month. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado was there for the first day back on the job.
Enrique Martinez, a sanitation worker with Republic Services, is back at work in Chula Vista after being on strike for a month.
I'm just happy to be back at work and be blessed that I have a job that provides food for my family.
Trash piled up in Chula Vista and San Diego neighborhoods as the strike dragged on. Things got so bad, the city of Chula Vista even declared a local emergency.
I'm happy to see him back.
And many, like the owner of Skyline Convenience, were so desperate to get rid of trash, they paid hundreds of dollars to private companies to haul it away.
The whole area stinks, and this is a nice, clean area, so we don't want to. And it's bad for business, too.
Republic Services and Local 542, the union that represents Martinez and over 250 of his co-workers, came to an agreement late Monday afternoon after being at a stalemate. As part of their new contract, employees will receive $1,000 bonuses, but no back pay. Money, Donnie Castillo says, is not a luxury as they went through the holidays, earning only a small portion of their salaries.
It was a necessary sacrifice. I think a lot of my brothers understood, my coworkers understood that sacrifice.
Republic Services said in a statement they welcomed their employees back and thanked their customers for their patience. But many customers aren't happy and want to be reimbursed, not just for the month they went without trash collection, but for having to hire help to haul it away.
Folks have suffered and they're angry.
Chula Vista Council member Jill Galvez says she's fighting for that reimbursement for residents and for the city.
It's not been cheap, and we will be billing Republic Services back for every dollar that we spend collecting all this supplemental trash. And we will also be fining and penalizing Republic.
Sanitation workers set up a GoFundMe account to help support their families. But since one of their co-workers suffered a heart attack during the strike that put him in a coma, they decided to give that money to him. Galvez asks the community to come together and help support this worker.
I hope, folks that have a heart that want to do something to help and say thank you.
Castillo also hopes the community now sees them in a new light after the strike.
I'm hoping that the community sees what it is that we do. We do it with pride. They don't just see us as a stinky trash truck coming through the neighborhood, that they see the human part of it, the people that are inside.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
Staying in Chula Vista, where dozens of elementary schools now have a new leader. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us about the new superintendent and his roots in the South Bay.
I believe we made the best choice for our district.
With that, Wednesday night, the Chula Vista Elementary School Board voted unanimously to name their new superintendent. He is Dr. Eduardo Reyes, currently Director of Human Resources in the neighboring Sweetwater Union High School District. He is also a former teacher, ready to deal with teachers in the Chula Vista District who have been working with an expired contract since late last June.
Learning happens in the classroom. It doesn't happen in the district office. It happens in the classroom. So we want to make sure that they have good working conditions and that the contract is respected.
Dr. Reyes is a familiar face in this district, first as a parent and then as a former school board member. But it's his connection to Sweetwater Union that some say complicates his new job assignment. Chula Vista Board President Lucy Ugarte and board members Cesar Fernandez are both teachers in the Sweetwater District, where Reyes has been head of human resources for more than a year now. Reyes resigned from the Chula Vista Board in order to apply for the superintendent position. He sees it this way.
The practice of going from one district to the next, it's a common practice. To be honest with you, my goal and my focus is on teaching and learning.
Parents we talked with who brought their children to the district's COVID testing center this morning are frustrated with the current administration and skeptical about the new superintendent's appointment coming from the troubled Sweetwater Union District.
I feel like there were a lot of people who said explicitly they did not want someone from Sweetwater. We cannot continue pulling parents out of the workforce.
And that's happened to you?
Yes.
What is the situation for you and your family?
This is the second time I've missed work as a result, just this week alone.
As the superintendent of Chula Vista Elementary School District, my only focus is ensuring the best for our students at this district.
There are more than 28,000 of those students for Dr. Reyes to support. He begins his new job February 22nd. By the way, the district's official public announcement and press release did not include any mention of the Sweetwater Union High School District. MG Perez, KPBS News.
The murder of a photographer outside of his home in Tijuana is the latest to bring attention to the danger that journalists face in Mexico. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis shows us who Margarito Martinez was and what our region lost.
Hola mi gente, muy buenas, good nights. Hello, how are you? ¿Quién te despierta todavía? Aquí 44 mandando la 4 señal.
That was Margarito Martinez, live streaming to thousands of his Facebook followers from a Tijuana crime scene. It was one of his last streams, this one about human remains found on a pedestrian overpass. When it came to covering murder in one of the most dangerous cities in the world, Margarito was the best. He often worked all night on his grisly quest to chronicle Tijuana's dark side.
I shared with him many nights, many late nights following ambulance, police officers, military convoys.
Fellow journalist Jorge Nieto says that what stood out about Martinez was his ability to stay positive amid so much chaos. Even in the worst situations, he was always there with a reassuring smile.
A smile, an honest smile in between blood, between the gunshots, between the worst scenario. He always make you feel, hey, buddy, we're gonna be okay.
In many cases, Martinez was the only photojournalist documenting murders, particularly those in Tijuana's working-class neighborhoods. Former Union Tribune reporter Sandra Dibble has covered Tijuana for decades. She says without his work, a lot of those crimes would have gone unreported.
Somebody like Margarito was like an essential person to document these scenes. And I think to have someone go out there, did sort of keep the eyes of the world on an important issue for Tijuana that otherwise would be easy to overlook.
News of Martinez's murder shocked Tijuana's journalism community. Reporters are demanding answers, and colleagues set up a GoFundMe page to help his widow and 16-year-old daughter. I met Martinez a few years ago while working on a story, and I still remember him telling me about the first time he photographed a corpse. He was 30 and driving in Tijuana with his mom when they heard gunfire. Martinez said any mother would have told her son to go the other way. But I don't have a normal mother, Martinez said. I have a journalist mother. She told him to grab a camera and run towards the scene. And that's exactly what he did until the day he died.
Sale mi gente, pues muchas gracias por estar pendiente de la transmisión aquí de su compita el 44. A poner a ver Nena Tomasa. Pendentazos. Bye.
Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
The top law enforcement officer in San Diego County is calling it a career. Sheriff Bill Gore says he will retire in a couple of weeks. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen tells us what that means for those hoping to replace him.
Gore was appointed sheriff by county supervisors in 2009 after his predecessor also retired early. That appointment gave him the advantage of incumbency when he ran for a full term in 2010. Some were concerned Gore was orchestrating a similar plan to get his endorsed candidate for sheriff, Kelly Martinez, her own interim appointment. But Martinez quickly said she wouldn't accept that post. Political strategist Ava Posner says that will make the election more fair.
It wasn't too long ago these elections weren't even challenged, and people didn't even know they could vote for sheriff, let alone having a true choice in the matter that hasn't already been predetermined by a small group on the Board of Supervisors.
Gore has had a long career in law enforcement, working 32 years at the FBI. Supporters credit him with reducing recidivism in jails and improving the process for issuing concealed weapon permits. But critics say he's failed to address the high rate of inmate deaths in county jails. The San Diego Union-Tribune editorial board wrote Wednesday, more than 150 people have died in custody due to poor health, suicide, overdoses, and homicide since Gore became sheriff. Some cases reflected egregious callousness from deputies toward inmates suffering drug withdrawals or lacking the medicine they needed for severe medical conditions. County Board of Supervisors Chair Nathan Fletcher says the vote to appoint an interim sheriff will come in March, after the filing deadline to run for sheriff. A handful of candidates are running for sheriff, with Martinez and retired sheriff's deputy Dave Myers emerging as frontrunners. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
A bit of a milestone this week in protecting San Diegans from COVID-19. The county reports 90% of eligible residents have at least one dose. New cases are still surging due to the Omicron variant. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says there are signs that the peak might be ending.
COVID-19 wastewater data now shows that the record spread of the virus in San Diego is beginning to fall.
Coming off the surge for sure. However, it's possible that cases will continue to rise or maybe peak around now.
UC San Diego professor Rob Knight leads the project that has been analyzing San Diegan sewage from the Point Loma treatment plant for the last 2 years. He says that wastewater is a leading indicator of the virus's spread, with data typically 3 weeks ahead of confirmed cases.
Although we're off that highest peak, we're still at very high levels in the wastewater at this point.
Knight says the decrease and likely continued decline is welcome news for hospitals that are up against dwindling capacity. But with thousands of cases still being reported daily, we're not out of this surge yet.
It's good news for the community, but remember, we still have to be careful right now.
Using wastewater data, researchers predicted the record spike in cases ahead of the holidays. Samples are picked up from the Point Loma plant about 4 times a week. They are also being taken from across the UC San Diego campus. The Omicron variant makes up the majority of the current waste samples, and Knight says with the strain being more contagious, it likely contributed to a sharper surge in cases this winter when compared to last. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And that story by Matt was one of our most read this week at kpbs.org. Here are some others, including COVID tests being rolled out across the country. We explain how to get yours for free or get reimbursed by your insurance company. Also, the birth of a Sumatran orangutan at the San Diego Zoo, the first for the species at the zoo in 7 years. And potential big changes for solar power in California. Environment reporter Eric Anderson tells us about a controversial plan in the works.
The California Public Utilities Commission delivered grim news for the state's solar installers last month.
It's so bad.
Bernadette Del Chiaro is the executive director of the California Solar and Storage Association.
We think the proposed decision, the bones of it are so rotten that it will not hold.
The public agency recommended slashing how much homeowners are paid for electricity generated by their rooftop solar panels, and it proposed a steep increase in grid access charges for a typical solar customer, about $60 a month. The plan essentially negates the financial incentives for homeowners to pay thousands of dollars to add solar panels to their roofs. Solar industry advocates say the changes could dry up demand for the green energy option and throw thousands of solar installers out of work. And that got solar workers to a rally in Los Angeles last week. The message was aimed at the CPUC's satellite office in L.A. The solar workers, like Revamp Energy's owner, Jay Cutting, says his brown and black workers need the support of commissioners.
We would hate to see all the hard work and progress we've made been killed by this bill and this solar tax. So we came to show our support and say, save our jobs.
But the commission isn't the only target. Solar industry backers have worked hard to get the attention of Governor Gavin Newsom, and hints that their campaign is working came when Newsom answered questions about the proposal during the unveiling of his proposed budget earlier this month.
That draft plan that was recently released, I just had a chance to review, and I'll say this about the plan: we still have some work to do.
When asked again later during the event, Newsom was vague, but did suggest the proposal would not survive in its current form.
I think my answer says, well, at least responds to the latter part of your question. Do I think that changes need to be made? Yes, I do.
A recent development suggests change might be coming. The CPUC failed to put the item on its January 27th agenda after planning a vote for more than a year. It is unclear if the issue is just being pushed back a couple of weeks or longer.
Well, there's no question the commission needs more time on this.
Solar industry backer Bernadette Del Chiara is not ready to call the delay a victory, especially with the commission in flux. The CPUC president has only been in office since the beginning of the year, and another of the panel's 5 seats remain unfilled.
It is unprecedented, the shakeup of the leadership of this commission right at the 5-yard line of one of the biggest decisions they will have made this decade.
San Diego Gas and Electric has remained quiet on the issue since early last year. The utility called the process sensitive and told KPBS they would not be commenting until after regulators make their decision. But utility-backed groups continue to run ads on social media.
A flaw in state law is forcing Californians who can't afford rooftop solar to subsidize wealthier homeowners who can.
And they have surrogates making their case. Kathy Fairbanks runs the utility-funded group Affordable Energy for All.
It's unfair, and we understand why the solar industry is objecting to these reforms. It means cuts to their profits. It means cuts to executive salaries and bonuses. It means cuts in their shareholders.
Meanwhile, solar industry backers say it is utilities that are motivated by greed. Regulators will make the final decision. They've changed the solar market once before, making only minor tweaks after a more sweeping utility-friendly proposal was rejected. It remains unclear if that will happen again. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
For many home cooks in San Diego, serving up some food is more than just a passion. They want to make it their job, but local rules bring one challenge after another. Well, Jacob Ayer says it might get easier soon, but it won't save some kitchens that already shut down.
Just south of the 94 freeway in San Diego's Emerald Hills neighborhood is where Rosalind Johnson lives. Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, Johnson loves to cook soul food staples from her hometown. During the early days of the pandemic, she decided to share her passion with the community after she got laid off from her job. She opened Clara's Kitchen from her home and even helped serve seniors during the COVID-19 pandemic. That was until she got a cease and desist letter from the County of San Diego just less than a year ago.
I did some research actually, and I found out that it was okay for you to do it, I thought. I got my business license, I got my food certification, got my seller's permit. I thought that I was ready to go, and to find out I wasn't.
In Paradise Hills, there's a slightly different story for Delilah Davis and her SoCal Cafe delivery business. She's been cooking and selling food from her home for 7 years to a select few trusted customers with minimal online advertising. That's because it's still illegal to run a micro-enterprise home kitchen, also known as a MECO, in San Diego County, even though the state allowed for their introduction in 2018.
So in further research of finding out that Riverside County had actually approved it and they had several businesses operating successfully under the bill, I was ready literally to sell my house this year. I was going to sell my home and find another home in Riverside County, just so I could go up there and be part of that.
Davis and Johnson both want MECOs to be held to the same health and safety standards as traditional restaurants and food trucks, but acknowledge there may be some challenges at the beginning. They both say the home enterprise kitchens have a lot more benefits than drawbacks, particularly in disadvantaged communities. That's because of the lower startup costs.
So this is like the perfect opportunity for me to be able to go into business, generate cash flow in order to establish a business.
The second ordinance reading to allow the micro-enterprise home kitchens in San Diego County will come during the board's land use meeting on January 26th. If the board then votes in favor, MECOs will be allowed to operate 30 days after that for at least the next 2 years in the county. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
After a record low last winter, the number of monarch butterflies in San Diego is up this year. So what's behind the rebound? KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen found it could be from a particular plant more people are planting in their gardens.
We have milkweeds around here, and there's actually a chrysalis right there.
Wow. Xenia Mateu is the owner of the Village Rock Shop in Carlsbad. Last year, during the pandemic, she wanted to improve her shop's garden space to attract more customers. Her gardener suggested she plant milkweed, and it worked. The garden didn't just attract customers, it brought butterflies.
He started us on this incredible journey of seeing what a butterfly's life cycle is really like, which we were not, I didn't know before, so it was a great learning experience for me.
Over the summer, more than 300 monarch butterflies visited Mateu's garden. People like Mateu are likely helping the monarch rebound. That's according to Pat Flanagan, who runs the butterfly farms in Encinitas.
We think that a lot of these monarchs that we're finding in the overwintering spots are a direct result of people adding more milkweed in the urban gardens.
Last winter, fewer than 2,000 monarchs were recorded in California. That was a massive decline from the tens of thousands recorded in previous years. This year, so far, more than 50,000 monarchs have been counted. In San Diego, Flanagan says he's counted more than 300 so far, up from 0 last year. Encinitas resident Alan Russell was also inspired to plant milkweeds. It's the only plant where a female monarch butterfly will lay her eggs.
When I read the news about the devastating losses of the monarch, you know, like everyone, I think, what could I do? So last year, I probably had 14, 15 milkweed plants going and nurtured them.
He says there's nothing like watching a monarch hatch and fly away. But Flanagan warns not to celebrate this year's rebound just yet. He says scientists don't exactly know why the numbers declined or seem to be on the rebound. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
And we end with one of the most popular stories this week. Tucked away in southeast San Diego is a hidden stairway. It was neglected for years and now it's getting some long overdue care. KPBS race and equity reporter Christina Kim met the artists who are making it happen.
If you don't know what you're looking for, chances are you might just walk by Valencia Park's secret stairs.
But it is good exercise.
It gets the heart pumping, I'm telling you.
The more than 150 stairs connect Las Alturas Terrace, which overlooks the San Diego skyline, across Trinidad Way, all the way to Church Ward Street in the southeast San Diego neighborhood. How the stairs came to be and their purpose are a bit of a mystery to local residents. They've been a part of Barry Pollard's life since he was a kid.
I personally remember using these stairs walking from my home to Morris High School, and that was back in the 70s.
Over the years, the stairs fell into disrepair, with overgrown vegetation and areas that tend to flood after heavy rainfall.
Around the 90s, 80s, things started to probably, you know, they're cutting in some of the service because of the budget for the city, and maybe some drain stuff needs to occur. So there are some structural issues that we're working through.
That is, until last year, when Valencia Park residents, with help from Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp's office, started to clean up the stairs. Now, thanks in part to a $15,000 donation from Blue Shield, the stairs are getting a makeover. The effort is spearheaded by Pollard's organization, the Urban Collaboration Project. Lights are going to be put in, and 4 local artists are beautifying the secret stairs with a mural of flowers. The goal, to make it more inviting and change perceptions of the neighborhood.
I've heard stories of people calling this the hood or the ghetto, and I've lived here in this area all my life, and I never thought of it that way.
Shannon White is one of the muralists. She believes art makes places more inviting for everyone, and more importantly, it makes people feel good about themselves and their neighborhood.
There is a sense of pride that comes along with something like this. There's also a sense of ownership because this is, you know, if you live in this area, you consider this yours.
The artist decided to cover the stairs with different color poppies because while no one is 100% sure why these stairs were built, The native California flowers are an homage to a local story that says a developer created them so his wife could go collect wildflowers.
I wasn't aware of that story to begin with, and so when I learned about that, it kind of made it a little bit more special.
Isabel Garcia is another muralist working on the project.
We wanted to include something that actually is important to the area itself.
The Valencia Park neighborhood, like so much of San Diego, is gentrifying at a rapid pace. Home prices here rose nearly 25% last year and are expected to continue rising, according to Zillow. That's not lost on Garcia, who has witnessed many of the changes firsthand. As a local artist, she says she's very intentional about how her work intersects with these forces.
For me to be involved in this and using my art in that way, it's for the people that live here, and I want them to be able to feel included and know that this is for them.
So far, the response from neighbors has been overwhelmingly positive, says Cherise Villaseñor, another one of the artists.
It brightens people's faces up. To see the change, what I've seen from here is even seeing the people passing by, seeing that any color is going to be brought into that area really does brighten people's faces to know that some type of change is coming.
Abner Soto Rodriguez, who lives right next door to the steps, says he's already seeing the positive change.
It's nice to see people walk up and down, left and right. But I think it's very much more inviting.
And that's exactly what the Secret Stairs makeover was intended to do. Invite people in the community to use this public space, exercise, and take pride in Valencia Park. Cristina Kim, KPBS News.
We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.